Hello, how are you? This is Each Peach Pear Plum, week 3 of our books and play discovery series. I'm excited about this one. I am about all of them. I've somehow completely missed this book in my childhood, in my schooling years. Haven't even read it to my little ones until now, and they're 13 and 11. But I found it on one of the top 30 books list, and it's a good one. So it's a rhyming one and an I Spy book, but it covers a whole stack of nursery rhyme characters and fairy tale characters. Yeah, so I'm not going to read it. You can read it on YouTube or get the book yourself. It was just Big W. I'll quickly run through the activities. So all the characters in the end share the pie. They all come together and share the pie. So I thought this is such a great opportunity, even though we're, this is designed for little ones, to just get those basics of understanding fractions, yes? And I hadn't clued into this one until probably a couple of years ago, may have been last year. I asked my girl, who was 10 at the time, to cut an apple in half. And she cut the apple, but it was in 2 pieces, not in half. There was no way, there was a massive chunk and a little chunk, yeah? And I just hadn't realized that either I hadn't brought it up in everyday discussions or just the opportunity hadn't come up. So giving you the opportunity there. So we've got 4 pies. One is to have by myself, so it's a whole. We've then got 2 halves. So half isn't just a shape cut in, 2 pieces. Half is 2 equal pieces. So we'll be cutting for this one. We've then got thirds. So I've got 3 friends that I want to share my pie with. And then we've got the plate here to stick it on. And for this one, I've got 4 friends to share the pie with equally. Yep. I'll go through that in a sec. Let me put that there. We've then got an I Spy activity. So there's something that belongs to each of the characters in the story hidden in this picture. So it's not just finding them, it's then adding on and asking, who do you think that object belongs to? Yeah. We've then got our comprehension and sequencing. I hope you're not sick of this one. Comprehension is such a huge one that, I could cover in 1 or 2, but I think it's a good one to cover in every one of these books, or at least I have so far. So again, we've got a picture of something that belongs to the characters, and we're going to place them in order, which is going to be tricky, particularly for your younger ones. So do it as read a page of the book and then put the picture on. This one is spot the difference, so comparing and contrasting the pictures. So there'll be 1 difference in each picture. This one is completing the patterns. So patterns and learning to find patterns helps our little ones predict. It helps them to problem solve and, think outside the box in everyday situations. Yes, it helps cognitively as well as in processing. So again, starting basic for this one, we'll build on that as the weeks go on. Hungry Caterpillar's next, but I'm not doing that today. Okay, so we're going back to this one. If your little one is okay with scissors or possibly paper scissors, depends whether you laminate it first, get them to cut up the pies. So this one, I'm cutting in half. So use that language again. So I'm cutting out 2 equal pieces to share with 2 friends. So I've got my 2 halves there. Hang on, let's put the book on top and you go there. All right. This is for 2 friends, and I'm going to put that aside. I didn't Velcro this because I didn't want to ruin my plate, and obviously because you got different sizes, I just couldn't make up my mind where I was going to stick the Velcro, basically. And I figured you don't really need to. This one, I'm going to eat all by myself, so I've got a whole pie, not sharing with anyone, so I don't need to cut this one. This one, I've got 4 friends to share with, so I'm going to cut it into quarters. Using the language quarters as well instead of just fourths will help with telling the time when we say 1/4 to 1/4 past. My girl really struggles with this, and I think it comes down to she just doesn't get fractions. That's a part of it. She's not a fan of analog clocks. I'm going to do a lookbook on clocks too. It just hasn't. It's in the design process. There we go. So I've got 4 equal parts. I've got 4 quarters to share with 4 friends. And then I've got my thirds here. So we've got the cutting exercise. My dominant hand holds the scissors. My hand and my scissors are always facing forwards. My helping hand is the one moving the paper around. Now I've chosen to laminate these because I want them to last. So the cutting activities obviously are once off, but doing your fractions, you can redo. So you can mix up all the pieces again and then match them up. There we go. So again, 2 halves. Now what if we do it this way? It's not going to work. See there? So something's wrong here. We've got 2/3 and 1/4 isn't going to finish off the pie. We're going to have to stick another 1/3 in. There we go. 1, 2, 3/3. And then 1, 2, 3, 4/4. Now on that note, 2/4 equals a half. There you go. Early equivalent fractions for you. There you go. So that makes a whole. If you want to check that it's a whole, you can compare it to this one. There's quite a few bits and pieces you can do with this. All right, let me stick my pie bits back in there. This one is an I Spy activity, but it's a little bit tricky again in that you're not looking for the characters, you're looking for something that belongs to the characters. So I'm not going to show you where they are because you won't be able to unsee them. You can probably see them looking at the thing anyway. But I will run through quickly what each one is. So this is a comprehension and sequencing. I know I've done this so far in all the book activities, and I think I probably will continue to do it because it's such an important one. We want our kids to be understanding what they're reading. And, you know, to make it in a fun way with pictures is a good way to do it. It doesn't mean that you need to read the text and then remember everything. Use the book as you go to fill it out, particularly with this one. So I would probably first go through after we've read the book and what could each of these pictures mean. So we've got the pie, which everyone shares at the end. We've got, so I'm just using that as space at the moment, not to do it in order. We've got the sheep for Little Bo Peep, the bucket for Jack and Jill, the glass slipper for Cinderella, hat for the Wicked Witch, porridge for the 3 bears, the bottle for Baby Bunting, thumb for Tom Thumb, the bone for Old Mother Hubbard, and the arrows for, what's that dude's name? Robin Hood. Is that the right one? Yes, pretty sure it's Robin Hood. Okay, so when we go through and read the book, we've got, I won't read all of it, but each peach, pear, plum, I spy Tom Thumb. So we look for him in the picture, and then we're going to put the thumb first because that's the first character that we come across. Tom Thumb in the cupboard, I spy Mother Hubbard. Not going to point it out. I'll leave that for you and your kids later. But Mother Hubbard has her bone. Mother Hubbard down the cellar, I spy Cinderella. So we've got her shoe. For your older ones, particularly if this is a book that you've read over and over and over in your house, see if they can do this in order, then go back to the book and check whether they got it correct. Yeah? So then we've got the 3 bears. I'll just scoot through it now because I've already talked forever on the first couple of activities. Then we've got Baby Bunting. Then we've got Bo Peep and her sheep. Then we've got Jack and Jill. Then the Wicked Witch. Then we've got Robin Hood. And they all come together in the end. So you meet the characters a little bit as they run into each other. And then they all meet at the end for pie. There you go. So that is the comprehension and sequencing activity, which you can use in a number of different ways. Then we've got spot the difference. Again, I'm not going to show you because you won't be able to unsee it, but there's generally one difference or a couple for each picture. So compare. So you're comparing and contrasting the 2 different pictures on each side. We've then got the patterns. So learning patterns is really good for cognitive processing, learning to predict and problem solve in real life situations. So we do a lot of, hang on, let me tip it that way so you can see most of it on screen there. We do a lot of this in younger years and then gets them used to looking for patterns in problems as well in everyday life. Then we build on these patterns. So these are fairly simple ones. We've got a plum, peach, plum, peach. So what comes next? Plum and peach. This is an A-B pattern. So I'm going to stick on my plum and my peach. This one, plum, plum, peach, peach, plum, plum. So we'll stick on our plums. That's an A-A-B-B pattern. This one is a plum, peach, peach, plum, peach, peach. So an ABB, ABB pattern. There we go. Now, one last one. This one is just kind of a chuck in freebie. The book refers to a number of different nursery rhymes as well as stories. So I have included the nursery rhymes in there if you want to go over them. This one goes forever. So if you want to look up the full version, or if you've got the full version in the book, go ahead. I've just got the shortened one there. That was for Old Mother Hubbard. Then we've got Baby Bunting and Little Bo Peep. If you want to run through with your little ones, those extra rhymes. Now at the end here, or beginning, depending on where you put them in your folder, we've got all the different educational benefits, which I'll leave for you to read through, but I like keeping them with each activity. So we're covering fine motor skills, which is this column, literacy, maths, and okay, so we're focused on those 3 learning areas, and then the ones that are highlighted, they're the ones that we've covered in these set activities. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you have fun with this one. I'll talk to you soon.